All right, Philip. That was a very interesting way of signing up that very discussion. I know most Nigerians are waiting to see if truly the National Assembly will be sincere in the ongoing process of amending our the electoral reform that's ongoing, having less period of litigations before swearing in is not a bad idea. But one thing is sure, if the electoral process itself is not well conducted, definitely we get to litigation, it's going to be a different ball game entirely. But right now, we'll be looking at the continuation on the issue of Asuu and the federal government. Should we continue from where we are, or should there be a stop? What I mean a stop, should government implement those agreements that Asuu is asking for? Asuu is now asking for new demands. They're only asking that government should implement the agreement they had in the past, which the federal government already said some of that have been implemented. But the 2 weeks warning strike by Asuu is what is bothering most parents who have their wards or students now back at home. If you count from 2009 to present, now we've experienced about 16 strike by the Association of University lecturers, just Asuu, the way it's been known for them, trying to see how governments will shift ground and ensure that we get the best of university education. Well, I have joining me via Zoom this morning to discuss this. I have David Okoro. He's a political analyst. A very good morning to you, if you can hear me.
Good morning, ITV, for having me this morning.
All right, I can't really get you, but if you've been following the conversation for 2 days now, Asuu is right now on strike. Some analysts believe that it is a shift of blame. While Asuu is blaming the federal government for the delay, government is saying that Asuu is not being sincere, despite the fact that there are other areas that governments have implemented parts of the agreement. Do you subscribe to Asuu going on strike while government is implementing some of the agreements they had in the past?
Well, again, thank you for having me this morning. Unfortunately, we are talking again about the issues of unionism and strike. And I think that the current strike by Asuu provides us as a nation the opportunity to review the use of strikes and unionism as a tool for negotiation between labor and the employer, whether federal government in this instance, whether a Dangote or anybody for that matter. Like I said, it's not just, I don't want to isolate it to the current strikes, but I want us to look at the history of strikes in Nigeria, whether in the academic sector or in other sector, and to ask ourselves if these strikes have helped us to develop. It has helped the process of national development. And I just wanted to take us back to the recent history when Dangote, as a private sector person, as an individual organization, had a problem with some of its staff, and the 800 of them that were sacked, and then Pegasus, in the most horrific manner, escalated a disagreement between employers, the employer of Dangote and some of their staff, escalated it to a national strike. And that had devastating consequences on our economy. So at this moment, cooking gas have gone up to, in some places, like 3,000 naira per kg, down from like 50% of that in the previous weeks and months. And we're told that during the period of that needless strike, Nigeria lost 600,000 barrels of crude oil, which we could not evacuate and sell. And you can find that the fuel of, at least in Abuja, the cost of fuel had gone up because of the disruptions. Because it's not just a matter of just turning off the valve. It takes a lot of work to bring that valve back on. So you need to ask yourself and say, strikes, whether by Asuu or anybody, has it brought national development or it has brought retrogression to us? Is it not time for us to look for alternative to strikes? I've asked us to ask some of my colleagues, senior colleagues in Asuu, and to say even Asuu leaders, and I've said we've used a strike for such a long time to try to get government to listen to us. But why not? Is it not time to look for an alternative to strikes? Because strikes have never really achieved the objective for which they are supposed to be. Because Asuu people say to me that is the only language that government understands. But has it solved the problems of our educational sector? Has it improved the quality of life or earnings of members of Asuu itself? So these are the questions. And then two, you ask the number of people that go on strike and punishes everybody. What is the percentage to the Nigerian population? Look, the educational sector, the greatest disharm or harm that will be done to the educational sector in Nigeria is the exercise strike by Asuu. That has destroyed the public sector education, particularly tertiary education, that have made Nigerians to lose interest or to lose confidence in the public universities. And so people would rather take their children to Ghana or to Togo or to Benin because they are sure that education will go on, they will not be disrupted. So now Asuu comes up again and say, we are going for another 2-week strike. Do you know the cost of that to the future of the young people? Do you know the cost of that to the education system of Nigeria? So I'm just saying that for me, I don't want to isolate it to just the Asuu strike, current strike that is going on, is to begin to ask ourselves, can't we have an alternative to strikes? I mean, we can't be using strike forever. There must be something else that we can do so that we can get results and move forward. By my own assessment, strikes have not helped us.
We are talking about alternative to strike. Just like you rightly mentioned, who do we blame for the lapses we see in our educational system? Is it the university system itself? Because if government does not fund the universities, we will fund it. Well, if you keep having Asuu going on strike simply because they want government to do the right thing, and you are saying that it has not really helped matters, especially the students are the one feeling the brunt of the whole instance. So what do we blame for the collapse in our educational system?
Okay, if you ask me, I will be talking about who to blame at this time. Is to say that the mechanism of strike has not helped us. It's been destructive to the education sector. It's been destructive to the medical services sector. It's been destructive, we saw recently, to the oil and gas sector. So it is the question to ask, so what do we do? What are the options? Because if you ask who is wrong or who is right in the case of Asuu government strike. So look, till now, you remember from the military era, Ali must go era. I was very young then when they're talking about Ali must go and all that. The strikes are still on till tomorrow. It means that strike does not solve the problem. And so if you ask who to blame, I would say, as somebody who is close to the academic sector, who is actually practicing in the academic sector, that we need to look to an alternative because, look, government cannot fund Asuu or fund education 100%. It's not done anywhere in the world. The education sector is funded in two ways, the private sector and the universities. Now, when the universities, they have their own issues because if they were up and doing, there will be an opportunity to source for funding outside government. There are funding opportunities available locally and internationally. And I think that beyond just focusing on government, it is another opportunity for Asuu, I mean, the university administration system, to also look outside to expand their capabilities, to take advantage of the opportunities that are available. In the US, even public universities are not funded. In any part of the world, it's not funded 100% by government. But then when you have, I'm sorry to say this, but I hope nobody will crack my head, that when you have a system that is lazy, people do not explore alternative opportunities to do certain things. We just believe you sit down every month, money will come from government to pay salary, to do research, to do all sorts of things. It won't work that way. It has never worked and it will not work. So what I would want to say that it's also an opportunity for us to begin to think in the university system of alternative means of funding. Alternative means of funding. How many universities are able to attract research funds? How many universities lecturers have the capacity to write research proposals of international quality to attract funding? So we need to stop flogging this issue of going on strike at every time. If you ask me, government is right in their own way, Asuu is right in their own way. But the wrong thing is that education is suffering because these problems have never been solved. Talk to me now. Asuu have been on strike forever. These issues have never been solved. And sometimes it's confusing. What are they really asking for? And what is government saying? And I'm saying that from my own position, that it's not to look at now who is right or who is wrong, but to say that there's an intractable problem. And there are two ways to solve it. Why we will ask government to fund education much more, because it is key to national development. We will also ask the universities to buckle up. Lecturers need to upgrade. They need to come to international standard. I know that funding for their activities cannot only be gotten from government sources or public sources. That there is the need at this time. And I know some universities, for instance, the University of Abuja, where they have a program to help lecturers to understand, to train lecturers to be able to write proposals that will bring in funding, research funding for the university. And I think they are not doing badly, because I've followed and I'm aware that they get some response. So if every university will also take a cue and begin to look for funding outside government, perhaps some of these problems will be solved on sustainable basis. But like I always said, if we don't solve it and now we try to pepper and do a bit of what Asuu said here and there, next year we'll be back again on strike, because there will be need to pay increased salary, there will be need to do all sorts of things. But that's why I said that always we should look for alternative strategy, alternative solution to the problems that we have. And this issue of strike by Asuu, we do need at this time, or strike in any sector whatsoever, because it damages the national economy. It damages our life quality. So we must look for alternative strategy to address the issue of funding of the universities and tertiary education sector. Because what Asuu is saying, if I listened to the president yesterday, that they want a total shutdown of the Nigeria educational space. And who suffers? Is the ordinary Nigerian student, is the ordinary family, is the Nigerian economy. And Asuu strike, like I want to say here, have never solved any problem.
To talk about alternative to resolving disputes like the strike we're having now in the short term, can we achieve that so that we have the students go back to classrooms? Yesterday, the government issued a no work, no pay trade, and Asuu is saying they cannot be threatened by that. So are there any short-term measures? Because the ones you mentioned to me, are long-term solutions for university to solve for foreign intervention or through research funding. These are long-term solutions. What Asuu is asking for is implementation of what the government has accepted that look we are going to do to reform the educational system in Nigeria, not new negotiation or new demands. These are demands that have been made for years, and government have said, okay, yes, we need to change, or we need to revamp our educational system. That is what Asuu is fighting for. So for the short term, for us to have them go back to our classroom, what should be done? Should they go back to the negotiation table, or we should continue to press on their demand?
I think that the way forward is to, we need to work. That will be a collaboration between the society itself, the Nigerian society, the education sector managers, and the unions, and then of course the government, because it's not something that one group can solve. And then second is that we like quick fix here. We everything we like to do it now, and then that. No, we like quick fix. So for me, as a strategist, basically, is to say first thing to do is to look at the history of where we are coming from. What is our current strategies, or what's our current realities as a nation in the education sector and in the entire society itself, the entire economy, and to say, so where do we want to be and how do we want to get there? So the first is to say that we need to have a short-term approach, we need to have a medium-term, and then we need to have the long-term approach. Now, the short-term approach is for government and Asuu to sit down and say, look, okay, everything you are asking for, look, let government come out through and say, look, We understand the challenges you are talking about. It affects all of us. The kind of funding you are asking for is not possible right now. This is what we can do realistically.
But let's just hold your thoughts for a while we take this quick commercial break, David. All right, you're still watching the program this morning on my TV, and I have David Okoro, who's looking at the unending strike. Well, it's the tussle, or rather, if I put it that way, between the federal government and Asuu. Well, you were talking about the long-term and short-term solution to the strike. Please go ahead.
I was just talking about the fact that sometimes I would say that Nigeria would like quick fix. In this matter, there is no quick fix. But what, like I said, we do is that we must come together and dialogue. This should be a main point. The Nigerian people, parents, the Nigerian society, the Nigerian opinion leaders across the country, those who manages the education sector, the trade association in the education sector, in which case you have Asuu, you have NASU, you have all sorts of people. We need to come together and then look at where we are coming from, what have been the challenges, what have been we have tried it, what are the things that we have tried, like we have tried strike and all that didn't seem to work. We need to then say, what are the reality of our current existence as a nation, as a people, as the education sector, and where do we want to be in the next few years, in the 30 years, 50 years ahead of us, because we can't continue like this. Our education sector is disruptive, and as long as that sector is being disrupted, we cannot think of organized development. So what do? So government need to put on the table to say, look, while education needed to be funded, there are other critical sectors. There is security, there is health, there is infrastructure, there are all sorts that we on their own also impact on education. So realistically have a conversation with us, with everybody in the room and say, look, okay, so in the immediate, let us do X, Y, Z. That is on the short term. On the medium term, this is what we should do. On the long term, this is what we should do. This is what the federal government will do or government will do. This is what Asuu will do, and this is what the academic community will do. This is what the universities and tertiary institutions will do. This is what the society, the businesses, and the people, parents are supposed to do. So we come up with a national plan that every one of us will agree to say, look, this is how we want to, in an organized manner, address our educational development. And everybody sign up on that. And so we can have an organized thing that everybody knowing this is our responsibility. This is our responsibility. We can say, for instance, in the next 10 years, the university should be able to provide 30% of their needs in terms of even electricity, in terms of food they eat, in terms of funding, in terms of research grant. They should be able to get significant amount. Internationally, these funds are available. But like I say, it's the capacity. We need to develop the capacity. And I had an issue with Asuu. If you go to the universities, really, I mean, I don't have any issue with Asuu, but Asuu, the energy and the ferocity with which they follow strike are used in teaching students. My experience, just interacting with the university system and my colleagues is that sometimes the problem really with why things don't go, people don't go for lectures, people don't do supervision, people don't, all sorts of things happen. It's actually Asuu member. And I had cause to ask an Asuu president once, a very, very revered Asuu president, why is it that, you guys are strong at quickly going on strike, but when it comes to dedication, commitment to the system, it's not there. Why don't you people, Asuu leaders with the same zeal, also ensure that lecturers deliver on their mandate? And it says to me, that is the responsibility of the university authorities or managers, not that of the union. But I want to say that it has to be holistic, because we shouldn't just stay and say, okay, we have needs that must be met, our salaries must be increased. It's okay. What Asuu is asking for is okay, but I'm also saying that we must also be ready to ensure that all hands is on deck, from Asuu, from government, from the university managers, the tertiary institution managers, to ensure that the education system progresses, and that we must look for alternatives to strikes in this country. It has never worked. It is not working, and I don't know whether it will ever work. Because if you keep doing the same, they say it's a mad person that keep doing this.
Its reaction to the ending Asuu and federal government also, like we said earlier. Okay, I still have you there. If you can hear me, let's begin to wrap up this very section. Do you subscribe to the no work, no pay thread by the federal government, even though you've made some solutions on how we see how to resolve this lingering issue? But do you think the threat by the federal government is the best way to go about it, or to invite Asuu to come back to the negotiation table and see how we find a last solution?
Look, before people go on strike, there are process, there are stages that you go through. There are doors to negotiate. There are all sorts of opportunities, process that you go to before you declare a strike. From my understanding, Asuu have not gone through those processes. And if you are an employer and your employees on their own unilaterally decide to go on strike, you have the responsibility and the right to say, if you don't work, we will pay. I think it's a natural thing to do. Nobody should put a gun on anybody's head and say, we have the capacity and ability to shut down everything. Those who lead, who particularly union leaders, they have enormous powers. They must realize that those powers must be properly curated and properly used. So for me, if the federal government says if you don't work, you will be paid, it's the natural thing to do. Any employer will adopt the same thing, that if you walk away from your place of work without go through the process, you say you are going on strike, you can't expect that they will playfully reward you by paying you or what would they be paying for strike or for disruption of the system? I think that government is courageous to say, look, if you stop work, we'll also stop paying you. It's the right thing to do, I think. In my own perspective, that is the just and right thing to do. I'm not against us. I'm an academic sector,
especially the health sector of recent. You see our government has been dragging with the medical assertions. Now, if we go by that route that the government is taking, it means we're not going to see an end to this ongoing strike. Then second, let me take you on the other issue, the welfare for lecturers. Many of them have argued that what a political office holder takes home is beyond what a professor is earning, and that's the reason why some persons feel, look, the government has not only treated the academic sector well in terms of welfare for university lecturers, especially those at the professor level. You can imagine a counselor who is earning up to 700,000, as the case may be, and a university professor earning 400,000 or 500,000. Look at the disparity. Do you think it will encourage people to remain in the classroom as lecturers?
No, absolutely. It's dismal and it's discouraging. For me, it bleeds my heart because I have professor friends. They're living in poverty. They're just managing to survive. And many of them are here out of their patriotism. And if you ask me, professors should be very well paid compared, and we can afford it. We can afford to pay our lecturers and our professors very well, very well. And it is a crime. What we are doing currently is the Nigerian government, it is absolutely unacceptable. It shouldn't happen. But then for me, the way to go is not strike, it's moral solution. Let Asuu retool and not just Asuu, other unions, let them retool and approach the Nigerian public. If they can get the Nigerian public, let Nigerian public see their own situation, not through strike, through engagement. I need to see them out on the streets, in the marketplace, in their offices, in various places, putting out their own position and the suffering they are going through and all that. Let them engage in Nigerian public. I leave the rest to the Nigerian public to engage with government to say it is not right what you are doing. So now government have seen ASU as being militant. This is how government deal with ASU, that ASU are militant, who always want to go on strike. And I think that we don't need to have an alternative, like I'm saying, to be able to get the people on the side of ASU, so that, or the side of the education sector, so that people can, it will not be the Nigerian citizen that will fight.
Thank you so much, David Okoye. We just have to end it here so that we move over to our Lagos studio. I must thank you for your time. David Okoye is a political analyst joining us very soon from Abuja. Again, thank you for being part of the program this morning. All right, we'll move over now to our Lagos studio for a continuation of the program this morning on my TV.